Okay, so for the two that we don't have recorded here, you are looking at in example 6, a chemical manufacturer that wishes to fill an order of 500 liters. This is your total. Okay, this is one of the totals that you're going to see of a 25% acid solution, which means this, but that doesn't really matter. You have two solutions available. You have a solution of 30% and 18%. So we have, I'm going to call X my amount of 30% acid. And I'm going to call Y my amount of 18% acid. Now, it can be kind of tricky because you want to think that you have to do something with those percentages with everything, and you don't necessarily. At the very beginning, you're just putting together amounts. And so one of your equations is going to look like amount of the first type plus the amount of the second type equals your total liters. Then in the other equation, you're going to do all about percents. So you're going to do, the first one has 30%, which we write as 0.3. The second one has 18%, which is 0.18 of your amount Y. And then that means your total also has a percent, and that total is going to be 25%. So 0.25 of the total 500. So then to solve this, you could use elimination or substitution, or if, because it's a word problem, you're allowed to use calculators. I'm not sure how that's going to work for y'all, but I would have X plus Y equals 500 for my first equation. Oh, I don't need to change everything there. I just need to say, okay, 0.25 times 500 is going to give me 125 here as a total. If I was doing this, I would probably eliminate my y's. So I would take this entire equation and multiply by negative 0.18. So that's negative 0.18x minus 0.18y. And if I take 0.18 and multiply it by 500, I get negative 90. So when I add down my columns, 0.3 minus 0.18 will give me 0.12x. My y's will cancel. And 125 minus 90 gives me 35. My last step to solve for x will be to divide both sides by 0.12. So I get 291.66 repeating liters. And then I would plug that back in there to solve, for the x, to solve for y. In other words, you're just taking 500 minus 291.666 repeating, and that gives you y is 208.33 repeating liters. So in that one, you always want to think about one equation being all about the amount in liters. And you also want to take an entire equation to be all about percentages. In example 7, I handle that the same way. This one you have types A, B, and C coffees. Rather than making those new variables, I'm just going to go say A, B, and C are my variables. This one kind of has a hidden set of information in it. It tells us we want to prepare a blend, so we want to put together A, B, and C type coffees to sell for $8.50 for a 1-pound bag. The cost per pound of these coffees is 12, 9, and 7 respectively. So I'm going to go ahead and make one equation all about money. So my first equation is going to be $12 for every amount of A, plus $9 for every amount of B, plus $7 for every amount of C adds up to a blend that costs $8.50. Then they tell me the amount of B, so B, is to B means equals twice the amount of A, so B equals 2A. Now, it looks like we only have two equations here, but what they are kind of hiding in here is this piece of information, this 1-pound bag. So what the third equation is going to be for these kind of word problems with 3 variables is always going to be amount of A plus amount of B plus amount of C adds up to a 1-pound bag. Now, this is a system of 3, which you've been allowed to use calculators with. I would be careful with that before you go to matrices. You need to make sure your variables all line up. So I need to put my A over on the left-hand side. So my equations or my matrix would look like 12, 9, 7, and 850. I would then have -2 for A, 1 for B, there's no C and no answer. And then A, B, and C are all 1, and your answer is 1. So then for this one, you're going to go ahead and do your RREF, reduce your matrix, and see what you get for each A, B, and C. And as an answer out of my calculator, I get A is 0.16 repeating, which if I do change that into fractions, I can get A is 1/6 of a pound, B is 1/3 of a pound, and C is 1/2 of a pound, which all adds up to that 1 pound bag that you're making.